installed him as the best player in the league. Like I told you earlier, he won a championship. That's the best team in the league, and he's the Finals MVP. So I'll just keep going, see you in 2 weeks, and keep doing your thing, and that's why you're the best in the league.
No one on the planet is a better basketball player than Nikola Jokic right now.
So, Stephen A. Smith, if I said to you, Nikola Jokic is the best basketball player in the world, what would you say?
I'd say, duh. It's very, very obvious.
It is hard to not admire Nikola Jokic when he is playing at the level that he has been on in the last couple of seasons. To put it simply, Nikola Jokic has been one of the greatest offensive players in NBA history. And what is most impressive about him is how easy he makes it look. He does not chase the numbers whatsoever, unlike many other superstars who have been criticized to do so. Has the NBA gotten too easy for the Joker? Probably. Let's take a look at exactly how good of a basketball player we are talking about. So everybody is aware of Nikola Jokic's numbers. He has been averaging close to a triple-double in the 2023-24 season, scoring 25.5 points per game, while adding 11.2 rebounds and a little over 9 assists. He is obviously the Nuggets' main offensive star, powering their engine to one of the best offenses in the league. The Nuggets are 4th in field goal percentage and 8th in three-point percentage. They have also averaged the 4th least number of turnovers per game. Over the last couple of seasons, Nikola Jokic has become more and more crucial for the Nuggets' offense. Jokic's on and off numbers have ticked up in each of the past 3 regular seasons. In his first MVP season, his impact on the Nuggets was plus 8.9 points per 100 possessions, with Denver scoring more when he was in games and allowing fewer. The next season, Jokic's presence versus absence nearly doubled statistically. They outscored opponents by 8.4 points per 100 possessions when he played, while giving 7.9 fewer points per 100 with him in the game. Add those up and Jokic on the floor was worth 16.3 points in net rating. As the Nuggets finally evolved into a championship squad, you would think that by having a healthy Jamal Murray and productive players of the likes of Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr., Jokic's on-off numbers would take a dip. Well, think again. The Joker had the highest on and off rating in the league with a 22.9 rating. To put this into perspective, his biggest rivals for the MVP award, The Process and the Greek Freak, had a 18.9 rating combined. Jokic's presence on the court was of great influence, which left teams to try and catch up in the 15 minutes of playtime that the Joker sits out during games. What's most impressive about Nikola is that he doesn't power the Nuggets' offense only through his scoring. As a matter of fact, you could argue that Nikola's scoring has not even been the #1 reason why Denver's offense has been so good. His court vision and basketball IQ have opened up a whole lot of opportunities for his teammates. He is always a step ahead of the play, finding the open man in situations where it seems like there is no open man at all whatsoever. Making other players shine is his real superpower, as he has proven in multiple ways. Since teaming up with Nikola on the Nuggets, Aaron Gordon's field goal percentage instantly jumped above 50, a number that he had never before averaged in his career. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is another example of a player whose numbers increased since joining the Denver Nuggets. Before joining Denver in the 2020-2023 season, in his 9 seasons in the NBA, Caldwell-Pope has shot over 40% from three-point range only once in his career. In both of his seasons as a Denver Nugget, Kentavious has been shooting over 40%, and in the 2022-23 season, he shot his career best 42.3% from behind the arc. The Joker's right-hand man, Jamal Murray, has also benefited from his presence. Throughout his career, Murray has played in just 16 games without Jokic, and his numbers immediately dropped to 16 points, 3.7 rebounds, and 4 assists per game, a significant downgrade from his career averages of 20.5, 3.6, and 6.5. You get the point. Nikola is an amazing teammate to have around you if you want your numbers to go up. And the Joker is not just a performance booster for players only, but contributes directly to winning basketball, as the Nuggets have consistently been one of the best teams in the league under Jokic, and of course, the 2022-23 NBA champions. While you can argue that the team's success is because the Nuggets have a well-set-up and symbiotic roster, there is no doubt that Nikola Jokic is the main engine that drives that roster to championship-level heights. With Jokic on the court, the Nuggets are shooting 7.4% better than when he is on the bench. It is clear that his presence on the court has been of great importance for Denver, especially for their offense. And what makes Joker even more reliable is that he has been healthy throughout his entire career. Over the course of his almost one-decade-long NBA career, Nikola has played less than 70 games in only one season, and that was 2022-23 NBA season, when the Nuggets secured home court advantage for the playoffs earlier than expected. So Nikola's absence was not due to health concerns, but in order to be more fresh come playoff time. You would think that a 7-footer who weighs more than 280 pounds would have at least some difficulties playing as many games as the Joker does. But for now, Nikola has been healthy and in rhythm for as much as one could be. Another thing that is really impressive about Nikola is that while he is on the court, he genuinely wants and tries to make his teammates shine. If he recognizes that somebody on his squad has a good night, he is happily going to feed him the ball and make the offense go through him. Whether we are talking about Jamal Murray going out for 40 points on 13 off 22 shooting against the Minnesota Timberwolves in Game 2 of the NBA playoffs, or letting his sophomore teammate Peyton Watson boost his confidence and take 10 shots against the Detroit Pistons, while Nikola only shot 3. Rarely, if ever, do you see a superstar of Nikola Jokic's caliber go out and take only 3 shots in a game. To put things into perspective, in the 2022-23 NBA season, Nikola Jokic had a total of 15 games where he took less than 10 shots in a game. On the other hand, there were a total of 18 games combined where a player who averaged over 24 points in the 2022-23 NBA season took less than 10 shots that game. And yes, there were 23 other players who averaged more than 24 points that season. If there is no need for the Joker to be aggressive around the rim, he doesn't force it. He lets his teammates shine and even opens the doors for them so they can shine as bright as possible. As he has once said, his mindset on the court is based around an old saying that his coach in Serbia told him, "A pass makes 2 people happy, while scoring only satisfies 1. If Nikola eats, everybody around him eats as well. Possibly his greatest asset is that he's very reactive to his surroundings and adjusts accordingly. If you don't know what version of Nikola you are going to get, you can easily figure it out by the way you plan on defending him." As Miami Heat's head coach Erik Spoelstra said after Game 2 of the 2023 NBA Finals when Jokic dropped 41 points on the Heat while dishing out a modest, for his standards, 4 assists. "This guy is an incredible player," he said. "Twice in 2 seasons, he's been the best player on this planet." You can't just say, "Oh, make him a scorer." That's not how they play. They have so many different actions that get you compromised. A lot of teams try to make Nikola score by not sending double teams and guarding him straight up. While that might have worked in some cases, in many it has not. Nikola has been scorching teams going for 40 on 8 occasions in the last 2 seasons alone, and he has done so by shooting on great efficiency still. Rarely do you see Nikola force things and take a bad or ill-advised shot when he shoots. It feels like Santa Claus deciding to keep one of the presents he has in stock for himself. He never takes a bad shot, but only what the defense gives him. While some of the shots he takes may look unorthodox, Nikola has found a way to get them in, having a career average of 55.5%. If that is not impressive enough, the Joker finished the 2022-23 season averaging 63.2% from the field, which ranked him 8th in the league in that category. Out of the 7 players that were ahead of him, nobody shot nearly as many three-pointers, or even shots in general, as Nikola did. In the 2022-23 season, Nikola shot a total of 149 three-pointers, while the 7 players ahead of him shot a total of 31 three-pointers combined. That is crazy efficiency, especially when you add into consideration his usage rate, volume of shots, and pressure from opposing defenses. Of course, he led the league in player efficiency rating with a score of 31.5, as well as leading the league in 8 other categories. What makes him that efficient is his previously mentioned basketball IQ, which is up there with the greatest players to ever do it. You can even argue that Jokic's IQ and awareness are around the best amongst athletes in general. He is that great. He is so great, in fact, that he has been doing damage without the ball as well. His gravity on the court demands so much attention, letting his teammates have the easiest shots in their careers, without even getting the ball in his hands. Whether he has the ball in his hands or not, Jokic still orchestrates the Nuggets' offense to perfection, oftentimes giving players instructions in order to get open shots. No matter if he ends up shooting, passing, or just setting a screen, Jokic will more likely than not make the right choice on offense. When asked about his decision-making process on offense, Nikola Jokic gave the most interesting answer that he could have given. I don't know. Maybe in a lot of situations I am open, or maybe I am just aggressive. I really don't know. Maybe the team wants me to shoot more. I cannot explain it, to be honest, but it just happens to be like that. I didn't go into the season and say, I'm going to shoot more. It just happens to be more. His greatness comes from making the most complicated look like it is beginner-level simple. Not many players are capable of doing what Nikola has been giving defenses on a nightly basis. And to make such plays look simple and easy, that is absurd. It is fair to say that even though we have seen amazing talents play in the NBA over its rich history, nobody is similar to the Joker. Yes, there have been a lot of big men who were better defenders than Jokic. Yes, there have been big men who were more dominant in the paint, maybe even better shooters. But what no player, let alone a center, has had, is Jokic's combination of skill, IQ, and feel for the game that make up for the full Nikola Jokic package. In Jokic, you have a player who can go out for 40 points every night, but decides to do so only when it is necessary. He can bully pretty much anybody in the post. He has a soft touch and is good with both hands, basically as close to ambidextrous as he can be. He is also crafty when putting the ball on the floor and can play one-on-one on the perimeter as well. He is also a more than capable floor spacer, with a career percentage of 34.8% behind the arc. He reads rotations amazingly, and the defenders are aware of that, which makes them nervous, questioning themselves whether to make the rotation or not, oftentimes leading to an open look for the Joker or one of his teammates. If Jokic had a different approach towards his numbers, let's say somewhat of a Joel Embiid-like mindset, for example, he would probably own a couple of scoring titles by now. But he seems to be aware that even though he can score at a high level night in and night out, his team is most productive when he gets everybody involved. Jokic has shot more than 25 shots in a game in 32 games, and has scored less than 30 points in only 3 of those. However, more often than not in those games, he had to pick up for some of his teammates' underperformances. Jokic is not the typical superstar player that has a knack to overshoot the ball in many games. On the contrary, some people say that Jokic has the tendency to sometimes overpass the ball instead of shooting it. Ironically, even though his court vision is probably his greatest asset, his tendency to overpass the ball may be his biggest negative in his offensive game, if you could even call it that. However you put it, though, you cannot and should not challenge Nikola to score on you, and opposing teams have tried their best to surprise Jokic with their approach, whether it is a trap around the baseline that they would set up, or a trap on the perimeter, or maybe even sag off of him. But Jokic has always had the right response and adjusted accordingly. It is really fun watching him fool defenders every game, although the same may be very unenjoyable for his opponents. With Jokic turning 29 years old in February 2024, he is currently in his best years as a basketball player. But have we seen the best of him? You could argue for both cases. You could argue that he takes it easy during the regular season, but even then, he still puts his foot on the gas pedal when needed. It is crazy to think that despite seemingly taking it easy in many games, Jokic still manages to average absurd numbers. He ranks just outside the top 10 in career assists per game average, and there is not a single center that is ahead of him in that category. He is third in average rebounds per game, with 10.6, behind Baylor and Wilt Chamberlain, 2 guys whose numbers are not likely to be surpassed in the near future. He is fourth in total career triple-doubles, a record that he is likely to break. He is the only one in this category's top 5 to play in less than 700 games. In his 2021-22 campaign, he had the most efficient season in NBA history with a PAR of 32.9. The guy is basically a walking record breaker. He is that good, and we are still wondering if he has given us everything that he is capable of doing. It is in do-or-die situations where Nikola Jokic does the most damage. The performance he gave us in the 2023 NBA Finals against the Miami Heat was basically a top 10 performance of all time. In 5 games against the Heat, Jokic averaged 30.2 points, good enough for 7th all-time, 14 rebounds, placing him at number 8 in all-time finals averages, while also dishing out 7.2 assists, which is obviously number 1 in the centers category, and shooting 58% from the field. It is historic performances like this one, when Nikola Jokic plays the hardest, that raise the question whether we have seen Jokic's full potential on display. What if Nikola Jokic actually cared about his numbers? Could he have given us a 60-point performance by now? Or maybe a 20-20-20 game? When looking at his game logs, it is very likely that you would end up in shock by the numbers. 40, 27, and 10 on 50% from the field against the Charlotte Hornets, 36 point, 21 and 11 against the Rockets, or maybe 35, 20 and 11 against the Brooklyn Nets. Those are some NBA 2K numbers. However, all three of these performances ended up in a loss, and at the end of the day, that is what the Joker values the most. Surely, he would rather have more modest numbers and end up with a win. And it is that mindset that makes him so great and also separates him from most of today's superstars. At the end of the day, Nikola Jokic is a winner. He is a competitor who always does everything it takes to win. Whether that is to score 40 points or dish out 20 assists or even make defensive stops, he is ready to give it 100% on the court. Nikola Jokic is probably a top 10 talent in NBA history. When it is all said and done, he could turn out to be a top 10 player in NBA history. A top 3 center, number 1 in career triple-doubles, a multiple-time NBA champion. If Nikola Jokic keeps up with this level of play, what is ahead of us will most likely be greater than that, which we have seen so far. We can only hope for the best for Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets, as we are truly witnessing one of the greatest talents in basketball history, who successfully made playing in the NBA look easy.